let's have this conversation. Kat, how's everything with you?
How you doing? I'm doing well.
Oh, thank you.
Doing
Thank
good,
you.
doing good. I'm a little sick, y'all, but I'm gonna try to get through it.
Well, it's all good. You're sounding great, and we're going to have a great conversation today. Now, Kat, I went through each of your series. You got this series going on, telling us
Yes.
your story of your divorce from a narcissist. I just want to start out by asking what inspired you to begin to share your story?
Well, yeah, I was just going through a lot. I was going through a lot and I felt alone. I do have a good friend that I talk to a lot, but I still just felt like I needed to get it out. I felt like I was holding a lot in and I needed to get it out. And I felt like it was people who could benefit from my experiences.
Yeah. Now, we use this term narcissist very often. It's a very hot term nowadays.
Hmm.
Hope that 2025 brings us a new day where not too many people using it. Just my opinion. I'm just joking around with that. But why do you deem him to be a narcissist in a nutshell?
I actually didn't know much about narcissism or narcissists. I was looking at a video on another social platform and it started talking about narcissism.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh my gosh, he does that. He does that. He does that. Like, so it started connecting. And that's when I realized, like, I may be married to a narcissist.
Hmm.
And then I started researching it more, and he's not diagnosed, but
Right.
I call him a narcissist.
I get it. I get it. And so let's go here. And I want to know because it's a long journey for what you guys are processing and going through. You're currently in the midst of a divorce. But I want to ask you, go towards the beginning there because I know everything wasn't always bad. How did you guys come to be, and tell us about a little bit about the engagement and how you guys became married.
So we met when I was 20. I had just turned 26, and this was actually the red flags from the beginning. I had just turned 26 in August. We met in November. I was working as a security guard and I was studying to try to get into nursing school. So one day I was working actually in his building where he lived at back in Jersey. So he came to me one day. I was just mumbling and singing, and he was like, "You have a beautiful voice." And we started talking. He was like, "How old are you?" I was like, 26, and I'm like, "How old are you?" He was like, "Oh, I'm 26 too." And we started talking. We exchanged numbers, and come to find out, he wasn't 26. He was 22, but I didn't find out till later on.
Oh wow.
Um, yeah, he also lied about a lot of other things that he was on vacation. He was taking vacation from his job because it was the end of the year. He needed to use up his time. Come to find out, he didn't have a job. He didn't have a car. He told me his car got stolen. So that was the red flags. That was the
Right.
red flags. But anyway, we still had like this kind of connection, I felt. And I was having so much fun with him. We was hanging out and I was like, oh, you know what, forget the red flags. You know what I'm saying? Because we was having a good time.
Right.
So then I ended up getting pregnant. A lot of stuff happened in between there. It's just too much to talk about.
Yeah.
It is in my book though, but a lot of things happened in between that. After our second child, he asked to marry me. That was like 6.5 years in.
Hmm. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
And you just said it there. I don't want to go too far before we get beyond that. Tell us about the book and when can we expect it?
So the book is called, I'm not going to tell you what the book is called. Not right now,
Secret.
but my book release is March 17th, the day my sister passed away.
Hmm.
Yes.
And we'll
Fingers
get.
crossed because I'm still going through a lot with the company.
Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, I heard that publishing thing could be a grueling process for sure. But I want to ask you. So you mentioned the red flags. You said it's a little bit too much to get into, and I get that. You start to see a pattern. Of you started out with a lie. That's a difficult thing to see. Uh, Someone start out about the smallest thing, which is your age, and he may have just been trying to get to you. Once he heard your age, sometimes men we just mirror what we see from a woman to make sure we capture what we want. But but you start to see that type of lie early on, and then you start to see other things, red flags. What was it about him and his character that said, "Hey, I'm gonna go ahead and give him a shot.
Um, like I said, we used to have a lot of fun together. We hung out anytime I wasn't working. We were hanging out. Obviously, our sex life was like rabbits, and
That normally does a trick, huh?
he's a cook. He
Oh,
cooked,
nice.
and he always cooked. Well, he's not actually a chef, but he cooks. Um, and he cooked for me all the time. I really didn't have to cook much, so I really loved that. And like we really had a connection. It's just he had his own personal things going on.
Okay. Now let me ask you this, because typically women, when they date someone, especially someone who the sex is great, and we're on each other like rabbits, they typically have like a fantasy with this guy. Maybe he reminds them of a celebrity or such. That may not be the case for you, but if you had to just give us a mindset or a picture of who he was at that time for you, if there was like a celebrity or a TV character that he reminded you of during that time, what would that be, or who would that be?
Um, I would say he was like a usher.
Now we talking about today, Usher, or you make me want to Usher?
No, the back in the day usher.
So you thought he was fine, huh? So you was able to
Yeah,
look over.
he's definitely eye candy, or what he was at that time for me.
Got you, got you. Okay, so let's move forward. You guys go ahead and get married, and you have your first child. How was the married life, in the early years?
Well, we were together for almost 15 years before we separated last year. We had our first child the year after we met, and it wasn't good, but it was up and down. It was up and down. Me, I was trying to leave him actually when I found out I was pregnant. Once I found out I was pregnant, I was like, you know what, we're gonna make this work. But um, a lot of people ask me like, why did you stay? And I wanted to raise my child. I knew I always wanted that. I wanted to raise my child with both parents. So I'm like, well, whatever we got to do, we're gonna make it work. As long as he's not trying to leave me, I'm not gonna leave him. So
Yeah. Now, when you
we had
say,
it.
oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, when you say things, had some issues there, was there a level of like toxicity to that point, or was it like abuse, things of that nature, or what are we looking at here?
Yes, it was a lot of toxicity, a lot of abuse. He choke slammed me, beat me up when I was 2 months pregnant. A couple of weeks after I found out, maybe not even a couple of weeks, right after I found out I was pregnant, we got into it. He crashed my car. He did a hit and run, and we weren't getting along. It was already toxic, and he choke slammed me, and that all went left because I ended up having him beat up, and I believe he held that against me the rest of our relationship. He made me suffer for that, and he never let it go.
Now, I gotta say this for the audience, and I'm so. First of all, let me say this. I'm sorry. I really am sorry that you went through that, and
Mm.
but I do want to say this, and just to bring a little levity to it. You from Jersey, and I just know I ain't heard. I don't know a lot about Jersey people, but I do know women in Jersey don't play. That's one thing I've heard. How true is that?
Well, by the time he met me, I had already calmed down in my life. Like I had already done a lot. Like I was in a motorcycle club. I was in the streets before I met him. So by the time I met him when I turned 26, I was ready to settle down.
Gotcha.
And I really didn't. I could have had, did more than what I had done to him, but I was pregnant by him, so
No doubt.
you
And
know.
don't get me wrong. I'm not saying when I say don't play, I mean you're able to protect yourself. And
Hmm.
if a guy were to go to that level, you have means of retaliation, which it sounds like you executed with the
Hmm.
with the gentleman jumping him. Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Mel. Thank you for joining my channel. Thank you for checking things out here. Oftentimes, we go on people's pages and are like, man, what is going on here? What is the purpose of this channel? So let me be clear. The purpose of this channel is to speak truth regarding the nuclear family. And when I say truth, I'm not saying my truth, not your truth, but the Lord's truth. All about the word, all about the ways and the will of God. What does he have to say about the nuclear family? And I believe the generations of today, whether it be Gen X, millennials, Gen Z, Gen Y, whatever the case may be, I believe now we have a very toxic relationship regarding marriage, regarding family, regarding having children. We're in a toxic dynamic as we speak. And honestly speaking, a lot of the answers that we're looking for in our community, a lot of the cures and a lot of the answers would come from a proper, fulfilled family home. If you go down the line of everyone's individual trauma, there you will find some negligence or some type of issue that they had with their parents. So here on this channel, we address those things head on. We don't place fear in those issues and avoid the topic. We do what Jesus did. And when he said, don't assume that I came for peace, but I came with a sword. I came to turn family members against family members if it means you following me. If you have to cut them off, if you have to address them and have arguments for you to follow me, so be it. And I think at this point in our society, we're at the so be it stage. So here at Life Coaching by Mel, I'm all about bringing healing to that. And the number one way to do that is have honest conversations. So if that's something you like, that's something you're into, that's something you really want to be a part of, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Be sure to comment. Let me know what you think about everything. I do my best to respond as often as I can. I want to hear from you guys. This is not about me. It's about healing our nation, healing our states, healing our cities, healing our community, healing our homes. Love you guys. Take care.
Let's go.